Hello friends, and welcome back to another stream of Microsoft Flight Simulator. We are here in Dubai in the fly-by-wire A320, getting ready to depart on a trip to Pakistan, Karachi Airport. This is the first stream in quite a while. It's been almost 2 weeks. I've since gone back to work. The holidays are over, and it's back to the real world, so I haven't been able to stream for a bit. And on top of that, schools are closed this week because of a confirmed case of COVID in one of my son's classes. So the kids are home, we're trying to work. Haven't had a lot of downtime, but tonight I'm sneaking in a flight, and I am dedicating this one to all those parents that are experiencing the same thing with these unfortunate school closures. But as long as our families are safe, that's all that matters. So here we are at Dubai. Let me get my cameras organized again. Just pre-sunrise, so should be a beautiful departure as the light starts to wash over the land. We are on VATSIM tonight, although there are no controllers online, but there is traffic. I think we could try to sneak a view. There is another pilot. Actually, let me hop in the drone again. I think there's another plane here in pre-flight, in which case we will not be... We are not alone, which would be nice for a change. Let's see if we can spot him. Let's go test if VATSIM's working. Ah, there is a plane over there. Yes, and let's see. Actually, hopefully this is not a terrible waste of time. But I do want to see if we can see if the livery is actually loading. Because I spent all this time getting livery mapping installed on this, and I'd love to see if it works. You know what? I think I could see it from here. It is an Emirates flight, and I think that is an Emirates livery. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yes, they'll probably be departing before us. They're looking a bit further ahead, if I'm reading their lights correctly. But in any case, let's hop into the cockpit, which is currently cold and dark. So let's get some lights on, activate those batteries, connect to external power, and go through our initial flows here. So cruise supply on, ground control on. Start aligning those aiders. That will take some time. And let's go ahead and start our fire test so we can get that APU rolling. All sounds good. And cargo. Awesome. So get some additional lights on. Let's get nav and logo, let people know we're here. Set strobe to auto. Get no smoking on auto. Emergency lights armed. We'll keep seatbelt signs off for now since we're going to be doing some refueling. We'll also keep the fuel pumps off. Let's get that APU started. 1, 2, 3. Start. Wipers are off. Overhead looks good. No white lights with the exception of the fuel pumps. That is fine for now. Alright, let's go through the rest of our initial flows. Let's get some lights on. Oh, actually, you know what? These screens are fine. Kind of as is with this amount of light. We'll probably adjust it as the sun rises. Here, though, we do want to get some of the kind of back dash lights on. Get constraints going. Turn this flight director off on this side because we're not going to need it. We don't have a co-pilot today. We're kind of bending the rules there. And then coming down here, we have anti-skid is on, clock is correct and running, parking brake is set, and we have big pressure. We'll get our ATIS and adjust our QNH in a sec. But let's check engine. We have oil quantity. We have... what am I looking for here? Doors. We have pressure and hydraulics is what I'm looking at last. We have hydraulic fluid and all. I would expect the yellow system to be getting pressure right now because we do have the cargo door open, but that might be busted in the fly-by-wire now. I don't think this is the first time I've seen that error. But anyway, coming further down here, we have thrust levers in idle. Our weather systems are off. We are on Unicom, which will be for the duration of this flight unless ATC comes on. Our engine masters are set to off. Engine mode is normal. ATC is on standby. TCAS on standby. Let's get some lights on here. Oh, that is so pretty. Coming down here, spoilers are disarmed and retracted. Flaps are retracted. Cockpit is currently unlocked. That's fine. Parking brake is set. And I think that covers the initial flows there. So next, let's get our fly pad set up. Alright, and go ahead and get our sim brief data in there. We are flying from Dubai to Karachi tonight. And I'll go ahead and copy down relevant ATIS information from here. So QNH is 1017, wind 160 at 3 knots, and weather temperature 17 degrees Celsius, dew point is 13. Very comfortable in Dubai compared to the below zero temperatures we're experiencing here in New Jersey tonight. Alright, let's load up our operating flight plan and review this. So we are advancing time to the future once again. One thing about these flights is that I tend to do them in the evening East Coast time, which means that we've actually been flying in the dark since we left Newark. We're doing this around the world journey where we started in Newark, New Jersey and made our way over to Europe, then to Egypt, and now across the Middle East, doing 2-hour legs at a time, which has made our journey, our routing, pretty interesting because we had to find airports of the requisite size within 2 hours of each other. So that took us through the north of Canada, through Greenland, through Iceland, cut through Europe, stopped in Innsbruck, which was a highlight, Italy, Athens, Cairo, Saudi Arabia, and now Dubai. And next up, we're heading to Karachi tonight, and then we'll be going to Mumbai, Delhi, Kathmandu, and then Paro. So when we get to Paro, that will be very interesting because it's famous for its challenging approach. And depending on how well that goes, we may want to do that a few times. We'll see. But anyway, I digress. We are heading from Dubai to Karachi. That looks correct. Let's see. Alternate. I actually don't know what that is, but I know it is in North Pakistan. Our flight today is Emirates 984, COS index 15, flight level 390. Triple pause is pretty high at 41,000 feet. Trip wind, nice tailwind of 76 knots, pretty good. So we're expecting block time of 2 hours and 10 minutes, but will probably be less than that in the air. Shear rate max of 2.0, so it should be a pretty smooth flight. And next I want to look at the fuel. So let's start the fueling process before we do the rest of the brief. So looking at the trip, there's significant fuel needed for our alternate. That's pretty heavy. I don't know of a better alternate in Pakistan, honestly. So I'm just going to assume that is the best option. But that's going to make us a little heavier tonight, which should be a bit of an interesting experience. So I'm not going to take any extra because I think I'm assuming the weather is fine. Actually, let's just confirm that real quick. We know the weather looks great here in Dubai, but how does it look at the destination? So light winds, decent visibility, broken, no significant clouds, I think is what that stands for. No significant weather, so it looks pretty good. And same with the alternate Cav OK. So yeah, I don't think weather's going to be an issue. So we'll just take that recommended fuel amount. I don't think we need to take anything extra. See if there are any remarks on weight here. Sometimes they include it. No remarks. Okay, so we'll be fine on weight. And just to confirm, takeoff weight, yeah, we're well under, and we're also plenty under max landing weight. So maybe we're taking, yeah, we're probably taking fewer passengers today looking at that payload, but we'll see once we get to the box. All right, so 8378. And get that going. All right, next up, let's hop into the box just to get passengers going, since that takes some time. Go here, AOC menu. Let's go ahead and make our init data request. Emirates 984, Dubai to Pakistan. About an hour and 20 in the air. Not bad. Hop back and won't do a weather request. We'll just do the weights and meals. We'll go straight to boarding, folks. So let's see how many passengers we have tonight. 144, which I don't think is quite full. Yeah, let's go ahead. Oh, well, you know what? We have to make sure the APU is running with the APU bleed on. Then, I think, packs are running. Now, we can get folks on board. Because it is safe per new COVID regulations. Alright, so now that that is set, oh, the sun is coming up pretty quick now. I'm just going to head to my standard operating procedures guide and make sure we are on track for what we need to be doing. Okay, at this point, I think let's do the rest of the trip brief and we'll get our charts set up and then we'll jump to the box. So jumping back to operating flight plan. Let's see. Let's see anything of note. Alright, well, starting here, we barely looked at the weather, but we're doing runway 12 right, and judging by the weather, that makes the most sense. Flight level 390 via the Ivero 1 Gulf departure, and we're expecting to land in Karachi via the Lakiv 2 Alpha approach, runway 7 right. So let's go ahead and get our charts organized. Let's start with the airport briefing charts. We know the lay of the land. We are at stand Bravo 10 tonight, right next to the tower there. If we're taking off runway 12 right tonight, let's see what our taxi routing is going to be. Alright, so 12 right, let's do it this way. So we are... Let's see where we are exactly, actually. On Concourse B. So if we're Bravo 10, oh, we're right here. Okay. Practically in Concourse C, actually. So we will push back, face west, take a uniform all the way around, and we'll, I guess uniform turns into Yankee, and we'll take a right on Kilo and into the runway via the Kilo 1 hold point. Maximize that length there. Awesome. So we have that chart loaded up. Our standard instrument departure, what is that tonight again? That is the Ivero 1 Gulf. Let's expand this a little bit. Ivero 1 Gulf. See what this looks like. Alright, so for this departure, alright, we can, and our initial climb out can be to 5,000 feet to Asses, gear go. There's a speed restriction here, so we'll program that into the box. And then, let's see. Yeah, so I think past gear go we can then accelerate, and from that point, you know, just for fun, we'll stick to these altitude minimums just to enjoy the departure. And once we pass Ivero, then we'll clear ourselves up to cruising altitude. So pretty straightforward departure. On the emergency procedures, I'm just going to take stock of the ILS approach for 12 right. And in the case of an issue on takeoff, we'll brief that in a second. We'll just use the missed approach procedure here for our engine out. What is this? Oh. Not using the radio tonight, so just sending texts. Sweet. Well, they're taking off. Let's see if we can get a view of that, actually, as they take off. Oh, there they are. See them over here. And they're rolling. Shame they didn't have a radio. Let's see. Is there anyone else joining us here tonight? Doesn't look like it. There might be another airplane at an adjacent airport, but anyway. Let's just enjoy this takeoff, and then we'll continue our brief. I'm glad they got the lights working again. There's the roll. Godspeed, fellow pilot. From this distance, they're already just a stream of pixels. And there they go. So long. All right, back to our prep. Yes, so we have that in there, so that's all set, and we'll worry about the approach charts when we're in the air. So that is good. So let's just go ahead and assume that that everything's been cleared. That we have our IFR clearance, and we'll go ahead and go through box flows. So start with GPS. Sorry, not GPS. The IRS, all set to nav, and let's check the engines are correct, and we have the latest AIRAC cycle. Yeah, that looks good there. So we'll go ahead to init 1, do our init request. So cool. Dubai to Pakistan, Emirates 984, contact X15. Flight level 390. Tropopause, I think, is lower than that based on the flight plans. Let's put that in. 41834. That's set. Head to our flight plan. That looks good. Let's do our departure information. Doing runway 12 right. The Ivro 1 Golf, if memory serves. Always want to double check. Yeah, Ivro 1 Golf, perfect. And no transition, go ahead and insert that. And let's just make sure that that jives with what we'd expect. So, to Astis, to gear go. The speed restrictions are in there already, which is fantastic. Yep, DB464 to Getted to Ivero and then on to our plan. So that looks beautiful. Alright, oh, there is a flight plan discontinuity there, so let's get rid of this duplicate here, and let's clear this. Okay, great. That's better. Alright, no rad navs from what I can tell. Let's see if there's anything of note on the ILS. Nope, all the distances are in relation to the ILS. Yeah, I don't think we need anything in addition to that. Let's just make sure the ILS is in there, 109.5, and it is. So I think we are fine there. Okay, no problem. In at B, let's see if our passengers are fully on board, because that will just give us the most accurate weights and balances. It should match the operating flight plan, so I could always just override it. So let's give that a try, so we don't have to wait. So in at B, 0 fuel weight. Let's just see what it picks up now. It'll probably just be a little bit under what we think it should be, 55.1. Yeah, that's right, because we're still boarding. So let's do 57.5. Well, I don't know what that will mean for the 0 fuel weight center of gravity. I don't think there's a way to calculate that. So what we'll do in the interim, I'll go ahead and start doing our performance calculations, because we can probably do a flex takeoff with this particular runway length. So just going to pull up my calculator here. Alright, so our runway heading is 119. Elevation is 11 feet on one end, and there's so many numbers on this. 60 on the other, so it's kind of uphill a little bit. So let's call it 40 feet. It's really immaterial. This is low to the sea level. The length in meters is rather long. We're looking at 4447. 0 slope. Wind, what did we say on wind? We're saying 160 degrees at 3 knots, nice and light. Outside air temperature is 17 degrees, QNH 1017. Runway conditions are dry. Takeoff weights expected to be 66 tons. Actually not that heavy compared to some other flights we've done. We want to do a flex takeoff if possible. Configuration 1. We'll turn the packs off. We don't need anti-ice. Takeoff center of gravity. I'll calculate in a sec. But yeah, no, it looks like we'll be able to do a flex takeoff. No problem with the flex of 67. Also, while we wait, let's go ahead and get our QNH set. So that was 1017, and initial climb out, I think we were saying 5,000 feet. Okay, that all looks good. How much time did we actually kill there? How are we doing, passengers? And we're fully on board. Fantastic. Let's head back to in at B. Let's do that new 0 fuel weight. 57.5. Does that jive? It does jive. Great. Center of gravity calculated. We'll take that in. Block fuel. Fueling is complete. So before I forget, we'll get those pumps on, and we'll get the seatbelt sign on. So now overhead is done. Done and dusted, as my Peloton trainer likes to say. Block fuel tonight is 8.4. Oh, and trip wind, tail 76 knots. So T76. Calculate that. It'll give us some extra fuel efficiency, and let's get the rest of the numbers in there. So route reserve. If we come down here, 0.6, 3.3, and 1. 0.6, 3.3, and 1. That leaves us with 10 minutes of extra fuel, but I'm really not concerned because our alternate is just carrying so much extra fuel. It's insane. Alright, and that only leaves performance. So let me get that, the takeoff center of gravity. Where do I find that again? Where do I find that? It's been a while. There is a menu that lets me see takeoff center of gravity. Fuel prediction. There we go. I think this is the best proxy, 24.9. And 24.9. Okay, so that would be a 0.8 up according to my calculator here. So we'll do flaps 1 and then up 0.8. Flex temp is 67 degrees. Transition altitude. Always a good question. What is our transition today? Or this morning? 13,000. Love it when it gets it right. Thrust reduction, engine now, that looks right because we're basically at sea level here. And let's do our V1s. Let's see what it would calculate. No, way too slow. Way too slow. That's toga right there. Let's do 152 for V1. Rotation is 153. And let me guess. Oh, V2 is also 153. Alright. So that's that. The box is set up. Oh, and it's getting real bright. Real bright here. Alright, so at this point, let's do our emergency briefing. So, if we encounter an issue on the way to the runway, I will bring the plane to a complete stop. I'll inform ATC of our issue, though there is no AC tonight. We'll clear any ECAM warnings and procedures, and then we'll make the decision whether to continue or come back to the gate. For any failure before 100 knots on takeoff or V1, I'll call out the malfunction, and I'll call stop or go. If I call stop, I'll apply the rejected takeoff procedure and bring the airplane to a complete stop. I'll set the parking brake and call attention crew at station. I will monitor rev green and decel and silence any oral warnings, and then call ATC, although they're offline tonight. Thereafter, I'll carry out any ECAM actions and make the call whether we're able to return to the gate or attempt another takeoff. If there's a failure after V1, takeoff will be continued and no action before 400 AGL will be taken except silencing of alarms and gear up. After reaching 400 feet AGL, ECAM actions will be performed. And for engine failure, damage, or fire, when engine is secured, we'll stop the ECAM, level off, accelerate, and clean up. If engine is not secured, we'll continue climbing until engine is secured, but not above engine out maximum acceleration altitude. At green dot, we'll open climb and select MCT on the throttle and resume ECAM complete after takeoff checklist and check the status. And then we will fly via the ILS 12 right missed approach procedure. So we'll climb direct to Delta Bravo 614 and then on track 134 degrees to Delta Bravo 655 at 4,000 feet, then turn left on track 44 degrees to Tal 2 and hold at 4,000 feet. At that point, we'll make the call whether to return to the airport or continue. All right. Excellent, 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 excellent. So, let's go ahead and begin our before start. Actually, not yet. Let's call the ground crew. Get them hooked up. Just make sure my voices are online. And let's do this.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
Oh, there might be...
Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
Oh, I
The
see.
parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set. Lifting the aircraft.
And remove ourselves from external power at this point.
Standing by for pushback.
Alright, so let's take our before start checklist down to the line. Cockpit prep is completed. Gear pins and covers are removed. Sign.
Depart traffic. Emirates. Depart traffic. Etihad. 942 heavy. Pushing back stand. Foxtrot 7 onto Jinnah.
So we have another friend here. I'll look at the beacon on. And let's see. Signs are onto auto, aiders are nav, fuel quality is confirmed, takeoff data is set, and barrel ref is set to the appropriate QNH. We have push clearance. We'll set our ATC transponder, we'll keep it at 7,000. Moon is and doors check and closed. Silence, beacon on, thrust levers are idle. Pressure check. Nose wheel steering disconnect memo is displayed. And now let's do the before start checklist below the line. So windows and doors are closed, beacons on, thrust levers are idle, parking brake is as required. And yeah, before start checklist complete. Alright, so let's prepare a call, make sure we do it correctly. And let's see where that other plane is. Just make sure we're not going to be in his way. It's a huge airport, so... Oh yeah, no, they're on the other side. No problem. Alright, so we'll make our call. Dubai traffic, Emirates 9084, stand Bravo 10, pushing back onto uniform facing west. Alright.
Please set parking brakes.
Oh. Whoops. Now I have to tell them that we're ready to go first.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
We are cleared for start and push. Parking brake set.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will start in the sequence.
Alright, so we'll set to ignition. APU bleed is on. And engine 2 start. Alright, I wonder if this is to track the nose wheel. Let's go ahead and test it. See if it actually works. Although we're already kind of going off center as it is. Let's straighten that out. Something tells me that's not going to work very well. Let's try. Yeah, no way. No way that's going to work. Which makes sense, because I mean, like, the distance between the rear wheels and the front wheels for these jets are different, depending on the model. So I'm very curious, like, what would be the use for those markings. Oh, it wasn't a bad pushback. Not bad at all.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Oh, we have ATC online.
Parking brake set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
Ground. You may disconnect.
Okay, sir. Clear to disconnect. Pin has been removed. See you at the side. Have a good flight.
Holding position waiting for the visual. Thank you and goodbye.
Alright, so 132, 15. UAE radar, good evening. Emirates 9084 at Dubai International, stand Bravo 10. Finished pushback onto taxiway uniform.
Emirates 984 UAE radar, good morning. Clear to Karachi. Evero 1 Golf departure. Maintain altitude 4,000 feet. Squawk 6245.
Clear to Karachi via 01 Golf. Maintain 4,000, squawk 6245. Emirates 9084.
Emirates 984, just confirm the departure of the Evero 1 Golf. India Victor uniform, Romeo Oscar 1 Golf.
Confirmed Evero 1 Golf, Emirates 9084. Thank you.
Emirates 984, correct information. Bravo, report ready for taxi.
We'll report ready for taxi. United Emirates 9084.
Singapore 7374 identified. Climb via the SID, flight level 230.
Roger that, fire descent, flight level 230, Singapore 7374.
Centre Etihad 9042 heavy ready for taxi. We request Kilo 1 for full length.
Etihad 942 taxi via Zulu, Kilo 1 holding point runway 12 right.
Zulu, Kilo 1 holding point for runway 12 right. Etihad 9042 heavy.
Alright, so we're going to have some fun tonight with ATC. Let's do the after start checklist. Anti-ice as required, ECAM stats check, pitch trim set, rudder trim set to 0. Let's set that pitch trim real quick. Flight controls, and that was
Singapore 7374, proceed direct to DAV mode.
Roger that, direct DAV mode, Singapore 7374.
Alright, so I think we are ready for taxi. Let's make sure we have our map ready to go. Let's get that more detailed map. So we can be ready to take down taxi instructions. So we're going to expect a uniform Yankee Kilo to Kilo 1. And let's double check the ATIS. Now that we have it, we have Bravo. And just making sure that departure runway 12 right, perfect. And what's the QNH they're reporting?
Etihad 942, the wind's calm, runway 12 right, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 12 right, Etihad 9042 heavy.
UAE radar Emirates 9084 ready for taxi.
Emirates 984, set your squawk 6245 and transponder to mode Charlie.
Embarrassing. Squawking 6245, Emirates 9084.
Emirates 984, thanks, got you now. Taxi via uniform, Yankee, hold short of Zulu.
Taxi via uniform Yankee, hold short of Zulu. United, Emirates 9084. Alright, definitely out of practice, guys. Jeez. Get this brightness up. Do a flight control check as we go. So parking brake is released and off we go. So full left, full right, neutral, forward, up, neutral, rudder disconnect, rudder left, rudder right, neutral. Using the tiller tonight as well. Auto brake set to max. Spoilers armed. Flaps set to takeoff. Oh, taxi lights are on. Really out of practice.
Etihad 942 heavy passing 1000 for 4000.
Etihad 942 UAE radar identified, climb via the SID, flight level 230.
Climb via the SID, flight level 230, Etihad 940.
Control our speed a little bit. Let's make sure we're not going to accidentally cross Zulu. It's really the first one we hit, so. Use the tiller for this turn. Nice and easy.
Emirates 984, continue on Yankee, then right to Kilo. For Kilo 1 holding point, runway 12 right.
Continue on Yankee to Kilo 1, hold to Kilo 1. Emirates 984. Here comes Kilo. A little fast in this turn. But we got, oh, that is gorgeous. So not this left, it will be the next left.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Etihad 942, proceed direct Davmo.
Proceed direct Davmo, Etihad 942 heavy.
before takeoff down to the line.
Emirates 984, the wind's calm, runway 12 right, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff 12 right, Emirates 984. And here comes Kilo 1. Get those packs off. Slow down for this turn, below 10 knots, and turn. Ah, not too bad.
Singapore 7374, further climb with Unicom 122. Hello, good morning.
Roger that, further climb on Unicom. Thank you very much. Good day, sir. Singapore 7374.
Alright, go ahead and get those landing lights on. Takeoff lights. And strobes on. Alright, friends, let's get ready to go. Oh, we are ready to go. Oop. Didn't mean to brake all the way. Oh, we got this glitch again. UAE Center, Emirates 984, we're experiencing a simulator glitch where our wheels are stuck in the ground. We'll advise if we need to disconnect, but let me know if I need to vacate the runway. Emirates 984.
Emirates 984, that's right. Yeah, you got plenty of time, let me know when you're clear.
Thank you. Come on. Turn. UAE Center, Emirates 984, resuming takeoff.
Emirates 984.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Alright, here we go. Flex. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. UAE Center, Emirates 984, passing 1200 for 4000.
Emirates 984 identified. Climb unrestricted, flight level 3, correction, climb unrestricted, flight level 250.
Flight level 250, Emirates 984. Thrust climb.
And UAE Radar, good morning. Emirates 213 Heavy at Delta 9, requesting clearance to Miami. We got information for us.
Emirates 213 UAE Radar, good morning. Cleared Miami. Red up 3 Golf departure. Maintain altitude 4,000 feet. Squawk 6233.
Okay, cleared to Miami. Red up 3 Golf departure 4,000 feet. Squawk 6233. Emirates 213 Heavy.
Emirates 213. Correct information. Bravo's current. The QNH 1018.
1018, thank you. 230.
Emirates 984. Proceed direct 0.
Direct Evuro, Emirates 984. See if we are clear of that restriction then. I'm going to say we are. Back to manage speed. Alright, let's do after takeoff checklists. Landing gears up, flaps retracted, packs are on, bow ref is set. After takeoff checklist complete. Set this to airport. We're about to cross 10,000, so we'll do our 10,000 feet checks. Landing lights retract. We'll get that seatbelt sign off because it'll be nice and smooth. We'll set to airport. That's already set. Ecam memo, navies are clear. Alright, 10,000 feet. Check. That's pretty cool. So we made it. We had ATC. That's fantastic. We'll be in radar coverage for a little bit. The last thing is just to clear us to our cruising altitude. See if we get any views. No, there's no views of downtown Dubai. It's just going to be desert. All good. All good. I'm not used to flying in the daytime, having all this light. It's like a luxury. Let's get a view of our path ahead.
Etihad 942, just open our ATC available. Continue with Unicom 122.8. Good morning.
Unicom 122.8, adios and good day, Etihad 942.
Yeah, you don't really realize how mountainous it is outside of Dubai. Some beautiful rolling mountains there. We should get nice pictures, hopefully, if this mist clears up. Forgot to run the clock. That's fine. Let's see here. Expected at after 5, so about an hour and a half according to this, although once we get up to speed at our cruise, that should come down quite a bit. Oh, that's pretty. Not too shabby at 45 frames per second. Ultra settings. Ah, sorry. I see Potatoes online. You know, I was under quite a bit of... I'm going to blame the workflow because ATC is online tonight. I got all nervous. But I'm looking at the chat now, so if you're still online, thanks for watching. And you were watching me during my whole brake fiasco. So you may have left us a while ago. But if you are still on, this is the fly-by-wire. And yeah, it's not the first time I've encountered that issue with the experimental version. I got stuck on a taxiway before, and then actually my engines just shut down completely randomly. But managed to fix that issue as well. But we are to expect bugs using the experimental version. I just wanted the benefit of TCAS and some of the new LNAV features they built in, which are pretty cool. Maybe we'll get to play around with those a bit tonight. Yeah, Potato, sorry to miss your messages. I'll try to be better on chat next time. Alright, heading to Kusin. see. Do I wait for ATC to clear us to altitude, or do I just ask? I'm going to wait a few more minutes, maybe once we're clear of the landmass. Oh, so
Emirates 984, stuck at ATC available. Continue your climb with Unicom 122.8 for bye.
move over Unicom. Thanks so much for the service. Have a good day. Emirates 984. Alright, that's the end. Let's head up to 39,000. And away we go. So in a sec, we're just going to do some preliminary descent planning, just so we don't miss the descent point. Let's see. Am I still streaming? I am streaming on Twitch, good. My app was just a little behind. And Potato247, thanks for the follow. I'm just seeing that now. Man, I really need to up my Twitch game. Oh man, anyway. Alright, so on our way to 39,000. Let's brief the charts. We'll worry about performance calculations and weather and all that good stuff when we get there. And actually, before I do that, let's just double check if there's any ATC between us and Karachi. Doesn't look like there is. That could change. But we'll just assume there won't be for now. And alright, let's get our charts back up. And let's get our operating a flight plan back up. So we are expecting the Lakiv 2 Alpha arrival. Let's clear these charts since we don't need them anymore. Alright, that's nice and clean, and open charts list. Star Lakiv 2 Alpha, is this what we want? Lakiv 2 Alpha. Pin that. So that's pretty straightforward. Just converging on NRIM at 230 knots, so there's a speed restriction to be aware of. It's not really mandating a flight level, although the hold is 9,000 feet. So that may be what we target. But let's take a look at the 7 right approach. Damn it. That is not... It's not an ILS. That's annoying. We may want to change that. What's the weather in Karachi right now? It's 60 at 4 knots. 60 at 4 knots. So what does that mean for our approach? Yes, I mean this is the right one way to use, even though there's not an ILS. But it is such light wind. Like we could land with that tailwind on the other side if we want to. I just say we will want to be at flight level 60 Gumil. I don't know. I mean, we could make it challenging for ourselves. Yeah, you know what? Why not? Let's just guide ourselves in. We'll hit these altitudes, and then once we hit Kilo Charlie 601, we'll just descend at a 3-degree angle, and then when we feel comfortable, we'll just take it off autopilot and then hand fly it in. Yeah, let's have some fun tonight. Come on. Be brave. We don't need ILS all the time. Alright, so we'll do this. So, flight level 60. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's fine. Oh, initial approach, flight level 90. Okay, so this is where it wants us to be. So at ANREM, we want to be at 9,000. So let's get to our calculator. Top of descent. It's going to be 39123. Target altitude is 9,000, so we want to bleed 30,000 feet over roughly 100 nautical miles. So we'll just set our radius to 100 nautical miles from ANREM. So flight plan, fix info, fixes ANREM, mic, boom. Radius 100 miles. Boom. And let's see, and let's just track our distance to ANREM. Boom. And that's all the prep we will do for now. Just enjoy the countryside go by. So I believe that's probably Iran that we're looking at, because yeah, UAE is behind us. And here we're getting like 70 frames per second out of the cockpit. Wow! So that means the glass cockpit is taking 20 frames away from us. We were running 50 in the cockpit. I can't complain about 50 frames per second in this sim, honestly. That's just interesting. Alright, so I'm going to quickly check my standard operating procedures and make sure I didn't miss anything really critical. I think we're fine for now. And I got those packs back on. That's something I forget to do when I do a flex takeoff. That's all good. We're still climbing, so we've got some time. Maybe about 700 feet per minute. Got a hell of a tailwind, so that's taking some lift out of the wing, so that's going to impact our ascent rate. But we'll get there eventually. The OFP has us hitting our top of climb at past Catus. Catus. And we're on our way to Pedex, and after Pedex... Ah, we've passed Catus. So, how far past Catus? Like 46 miles. Okay. Oh, we just passed Catus. That makes sense? 35 miles after Catus. No. No, 46 miles. So, 40 miles away from Pedex. Okay, so we'll probably be pretty close to that, honestly. Anyway, it's going to be a little bit after Pedex, but anyway. Splitting hairs now. Alright, just want to get my booklet here to... Oh, here we go. Cruise. Yeah, everything that we want to do in the sim tonight, I think we've done. And we'll do descent preparation roughly 40 minutes before estimated time of arrival. Let's see what the estimate is now. 4:45. So yeah, in about 15 minutes we'll start descent prep. So in the meantime, something I like to do is learn about where we're actually going. So, Karachi Airport. So actually named Jinnah International Airport. So Jinnah International Airport, let's see. Oh, I don't want to go to the website. No, that's not what I want. So it's been kind of interesting. So we visited some pretty interesting places on this journey. And I found that sometimes the history of the airport itself is more interesting than the location. Case in point, when we left Newark for our journey across the Atlantic via Canada, Greenland, and Iceland, a lot of the airports we ventured to were actually established during World War II by the Americans and the British, because their oceanic flight, the way we enjoy today, wasn't a thing. So they had to fly closer to land. They had to fly closer to alternate airports. They had to stop and refuel, resupply every so often. So there were these kind of airports constructed along the route between the United States and Europe. And many of those airports eventually became the international airports of today in those locations. Specifically, we visited Iqaluit in Nunavut in Canada. And then we visited Greenland. Forget the name of the city, completely unpronounceable based on my monolinguistic abilities. But yeah, it was kind of fun to kind of retrace history on those flights. So looking at Jinnah International Airport, it's Pakistan's busiest international domestic airport. Handled 7.2 million passengers between 2017 and 2018. Alright. Located in Karachi, which is the largest city and commercial capital of Pakistan, and is named after the founder of Pakistan. And this is not some ancient founder, this is the founder after partition, when Pakistan split away from India. Let's see. Yes, of course, Pakistan used to be part of British India. Oh my god. So, oh, this is interesting. So, during the late 1920s and early 1930s, there was a large black-colored airship hangar at the site of Karachi Airport, constructed for the British HMA R101, which, just kind of looking at it now, is like a giant airship. If you've ever seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, I think it was, they featured a German airship, so you can kind of imagine like a giant blimp, which I guess was, you know, kind of a way for civilians to travel via air back in the day. Don't know too much about airships except that they're beautiful and extremely dangerous, as evidenced by the story I'm about to tell you. So, there's a large black-colored airship hangar at Karachi Airport constructed for this airship. At the time, that airship was the largest ever built. Only 3 hangars in the world were ever built to dock and hangar that particular fleet of English airships. However, the R101 never arrived in Karachi, as it crashed and exploded just 8 hours into its maiden flight over Beauvais, France, killing all but 6 of its 54 passengers and crew. This hangar was so huge that aircraft often used it as a visual marker while attempting VFR landings at Karachi. Over the years, the hangar became known as the landmark of Karachi, until it was demolished by order of then-President Ayub Khan in the 1960s. Well, that's a shame. It would have been fun if we could actually see that hangar in our flight today, but I guess not, because it's been gone for 60 years. I'm looking into this airship accident a bit more. Wow, no, there are photos of this airship hangar on Wikipedia, and it is absolutely enormous. It must have been really expensive. These things were huge, jeez. So I'm trying to read into why this airship ultimately crashed. Very interesting. It almost sounds like it's like operating a submarine. So there was apparently like an oil gauge there's an oil pressure problem, so they shut down one of the engines and began to replace the oil gauge, since there was nothing apparently wrong with the engine. With one engine stopped, the airspeed was reduced by about 4 miles an hour to about 60 miles an hour. Alright, so then it continued its course towards France. They never reported the engine problem. Let's see. Apparently weather had turned. Oh, this sounds harrowing. Okay, so I'll read through this because it's super interesting. So, at 2 a.m., the watch on the bridge changed. Second officer took over command from the captain. And at this point, the airship was flying heavy, which meant they were relying on dynamic lift generated by forward airspeed to maintain altitude. And they were estimated to be about 1,000 feet above the ground. About 7 minutes later, the airship went into a dive, from which it slowly recovered, but lost about half of its altitude, so lost about 450 feet. As it did, one of the crew members was sent forward to release the forward emergency ballast bags, which were locally controlled. The first dive was steep enough to cause a foreman engineer to be thrown from his seat in the smoking room and to wake one of the chief electrician who was dozing in the switch room next to the chart cabin. As the airship recovered, the electrician was roused by another crew member who went to the crew quarters calling out, "We're down, lads," in warning. As this happened, the airship went into a second dive, and orders to reduce speed to slow were received in the engine cars. Before the engineer could respond, the airship hit the ground at the edge of a wood outside Alone and immediately caught fire. The reason for the order to reduce speed is a matter for conjecture, because this would have caused the airship to lose dynamic lift and adopt a nose-down attitude. The estimated inquiry estimated the impact speed at around 13 miles an hour, with the airship between 15 and 25 degrees nose down. 46 of the 54 passengers were killed immediately. There were a few folks who survived the crash but later died, bringing the total death count to 48. So what happened? So the inquiry came to the conclusion that a tear had developed in the forward cover, causing one or more of the forward gas bags to fail. Oh, and there could have been an incorrect altimeter setting as well, contributing to that. I guess the confluence of issues. What's always important to read your ATIS, confirm your altimeter, report what information you have when calling ATC. That is all, like, it seems so simple, and it's like one of those things, if you get wrong, oof, consequences could be truly disastrous. Just keep an eye on the time. Okay, so our top of descent is coming into our view there. Yeah, oh, perfect time. We're about 40 minutes away from Karachi. So let's go ahead and start getting our arrival programmed into the box and doing some of our performance calculations and finish briefing this arrival. So, yes, to recall, we are coming in via the Lakiv 2 Alpha approach. So let's get that in here. So no ILSs for us because we're coming in 7 right RNAV. Just to make sure there aren't. Yeah, no. That's the only option. RNAV 7 right. Via Lakiv 2 Alpha. Via on rim. Is that right? I don't see Mackley on this. So via on rim. And like it's on rim. That looks right. Insert. And let's just head to the plan and make sure that approach looks good and that we see everything that we expect. So Lakiv on rim, Gumil, memory serves, that's right. We're not getting, oh yeah, the restrictions are on there. Probably have to manage the speed restrictions ourselves just to be safe. So from Gumil, yeah, because I don't see the speed restriction here unless it's posted universally. Yeah, we'll probably just stick to managed speed. But anyway, so from Gumil we head to Viruk. From Viruk to Kilo Charlie 602. To Kilo Charlie 601. And we have our flaps 1 and flaps 2 suggestions there. And the decel point, which is ahead of flaps 1, which is interesting. Not sure if that would actually happen in the real aircraft. And then destination. So yeah, so that's our fix right there when we begin our final descent to the runway. But in any case, that looks good. This is just interesting because we'll be turning onto final. This is almost like a VFR approach, if my understanding of VFR approach is correct. Oh, there's an oil refinery to look at. That's nice. There is a VOR we'll want to program in, so we'll get that in there as well. But that is good. Let's get back to ARC and get back to this nice wide view. So what's next? So yeah, let's do the rad navs. Let's get that in there. So VOR KC Kilo Charlie 112.1 confirmed. We'll go ahead and activate that. Right, and we know our initial descent point. We know the course we're going to set. Let's Let's get the performance metrics in there. So for the approach, let's get our destination ATIS. We'll close this for the time being. So Karachi. Oscar Papa Kilo Charlie. QNH 1019. Wind 70 at 4 knots. Temperature 12 degrees. Dew point 10. Alright, so QNH 1019. Temperature 12 degrees. Magnitude, the wind, we're going to do, what was it? 70 at 4. Transition altitude, flight level 50, that's correct. And baro, that's important. What's our minimums here for Class C? 620. Alright, that's all set. Nice and slow green dot speed. So even with the... I'm still not seeing that speed restriction anywhere, honestly. But because of all the turns and such... Let's see, what's the distance here? Once we get here, it's roughly, what, 5 miles? Give or take, to the runway. We'll want to be configured pretty well in advance. Let's, yeah. Maybe at Viruk, we'll start configuring. Oh, here's the speed restriction. Is it at Anrim? Oh, it is. Oh, yeah. No, we did talk about this. We did talk about this. So we'll manually slow down once we get to Anrim. Okay, and then we'll just we'll step down our altitude from there, and it should be easy to start configuring from that speed. And maybe we'll slow down to like 210, just so you know we take the approach a little extra slow to be on the safe side. Wow. That looks unreal. What a terrain. There is other traffic at interesting. Supposedly departing. Oh, they just departed Karachi. Okay, so they'll be long gone by the time we get there. And TCAS, set it to below. Curious if that plane would show up here, but I guess not. Clean this up a bit. Yeah, so I haven't seen, haven't been able to really test the TCAS, honestly. I think this plane will be, where are they heading? Oh, they're heading to Saudi Arabia, so they might actually get pretty close to us. So we'll see if they get closer, if they show up on the TCAS. Oh, we got really lucky with the ATC coverage tonight, because that's the only controller online in the entire Middle East. The next closest controller online, from what I can tell, is that Vietnam Center? What is this? What is this called? Bangkok Center, Thailand. Just waiting for that TCAS blip to show up. I'm not convinced it actually works. Well, I mean, it's set right. It's on TARA. Set on below. Oh, I'm still in start. Jeez. I tried to do all these flows from memory tonight, and I learned that I'm not ready. Not ready to do that just yet. So does TCAS just work on certain modes? No, that'd be silly. Am I still on VATSIM? That's another possibility. Yeah, I'm still on VATSIM. Yeah, they're at 28,000 feet. We're heading like right for each other. So it might be a proximity thing. Can't see their flight plan directly. We're not flying to any of the same waypoints, it looks like. Not sure what that's referring to. That looks like a glitch. See, what's their expected flight level? They're still climbing. .380. So it will be 1,000 feet below, which makes sense because we're traveling east at an odd altitude. They're traveling west at an even altitude. That's just how it's done. I don't know. I'll have to watch some more videos on how TCAS works. And it's possible they're just too far away. Wouldn't really make sense, like, for TCAS to work with a plane that is like hundreds of miles away. So like, how far are we from Karachi? We're like 234 miles. Looking on this VATSIM map, that must put them about 180 miles away. That's huge. There's clouds over there. Alright, well, let's do our descent preparation checklist. We'll keep an eye on that TCAS guy. But let's see. It's not really a checklist, just descent preparation procedures. Oh yeah, confirm lane performance. Let's go ahead. We'll set that auto brakes to low, because I think the runway, did we get the airport information? I think it's pretty long. 3,400 meters for 7. Yeah, no, that's plenty of runway. So I think low brakes is a foregone conclusion. Set the flight plan, rad navs, progress, performance we set. Check the fuel prediction, which I think will be more than fine because we have just so much friggin' fuel. Yep. We actually gained time there, 19 minutes now of extra fuel, so more efficient than expected, it seems. It will do a full flaps landing. TCAS is set below, so unclear if that's working. We looked at weather. Let's maybe get a head start on taxi information here. So land 7 right. Let's just assume we're going to exit at Foxtrot. And 10-9A. So let's look at those parking stands. Jinnah Terminal. Maintenance area, hangars, Terminal 1. This feels like the main terminal area. So honestly, let's do Foxtrot, Papa, Kilo, and we'll just pick a parking spot. Cool. So that's that. We'll look at the start of the approach. Do a quick view of the go around. Climb straight ahead to Mackley, climbing to 3,000. Contact ATC. Easy. Runway heading. With the taxi, no special procedures required. We'll just pay attention to that speed restriction as we get a little closer. Alright, so next we'll do our 10,000 feet checks and then our approach checklist. Hello, Constancio. Good to have you on the channel. Thanks for joining us. Alright, so that's the briefing complete. We're getting close to our top of descent there. So we'll get ready to start heading down in a moment. See where that other flight is now. Yeah, getting closer, although passing decently north of us. Let's Still no blips on the TCAS, so may not be a good test for that. Alright, just about 40 miles to top of descent. Looks like Dubai ATC just went offline, so that was a quick stint for him, but we do appreciate the coverage. That was a fun departure of Dubai tonight. Oh, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it. You might be the first one on YouTube. If I ever make it big, I'll remember you. Are you a pilot yourself? Or an aviation enthusiast? I must apologize. I think there is a slight delay between when I see comments and then when the transmission, when the video stream actually catches up to what I'm saying. Oh, there you go. I just saw aviation enthusiast. Fantastic. Same here. I've not set foot in a cockpit before in my life, but I do aspire to when life next allows. It's like the anticipation. It's like as soon as the descent begins, then all the action happens. But until that point, it's just like, come on, let's get there. Let's go. And I don't think that traffic is close enough to be picked up in the TCAS, so we're not going to see that system working tonight. But I'm sure when we make it back to the United States, we'll get a lot more ATC coverage, but that will be a while from now. So just to recap, as we're approaching our descent point, I'm doing a kind of a journey around the world in the fly-by-wire A320. The fly-by-wire is a free mod available that gets the A320 aircraft to near study level quality. They've done a fantastic job. They make updates to this sim all the time, constantly adding new systems, making it more realistic. It's been a real joy to learn, and a real joy to fly. And since I'm only able to sim maybe once a week, usually in the evenings, East Coast United States time, that's when I'm generally online. Oh, California, very nice. I'm from the East Coast originally, but I spent 8 years in the Bay Area. Absolutely loved it. But we started our virtual journey in Newark, New Jersey, and then started making our way east across the Atlantic. And since I work during the day, I don't have more than a couple hours at a time to sim, so we charted a path around the world between airports 2 hours at a time. So tonight is Dubai to Karachi. getting real close. Start to set our flight level 90. About to cross that threshold, and down we go. Thrust idle descent. Next procedure will be at 10,000 feet. We'll do our 10,000 feet checks. We're about to pass Lakiv, which is the first waypoint on our star. There we go. Actually track our position relative to the chart, which is a fantastic feature. And we'll descend along this vector, aiming for 9,000 feet at ANREM. And at that point, we'll slow down to probably 210 knots, just going to give us some more time to react. Ah, Los Angeles. Very nice. Been there a number of times, mostly Santa Monica area, but really beautiful town. Alright, so 92 miles to get to ANREM. Some clouds ahead of us. And we're picking up the Karachi VOR. So we're doing a, let's see. Yes, we're doing an R&P approach tonight, which will make it a bit more challenging because the VNAV capabilities of the sim are not quite there yet. I know the fly-by-wire team is still working on that capability. So we'll be kind of on autopilot, managing our own altitude down to 1,600 feet, and then we'll pitch down 3 degrees. And then when comfortable, we'll just hand fly it in, see how that goes. But it won't be as simple as an ILS. Oh, nice. Oscar Papa Kilo Charlie. Oh, so from Karachi. I'm not sure where Oscar Papa India Sierra is. And I'm not familiar with Infinite Flight. I'll have to check that out. How do you choose your flights? Like, how do you decide where you want to depart from and arrive to? Oh, Islamabad. Awesome. Do you stream your flights as well? Actually, we're going to go on to local QNH now. This is actually something that a friend pilot told me, that once you're cleared below transition, you can go ahead and set local QNH. Although I just realized I made a mistake. Transition is 5,000 feet, not 10,000 feet where we're going. But you know what? I'll just let it ride. Ah, thanks for the detail there. Yep, totally understandable. I started streaming mostly because it was a nice way to pass the time and cruise. I've actually learned quite a lot from folks as well. Some folks that join the channel that have more experience than I do, give me pointers and give me more insights into real-world procedures that I then try to emulate. So it's a fun little community, the FlightSim community for sure. Alright, so let's see how we're doing on this descent. We're about 6 minutes away from ANRIM, where we need to be at 9,000 feet. Still got to bleed a lot of altitude. But I think we'll get there in time. And just want to get ahead, want to see where our next flight level is. So after, once we get to ANRIM, and we have to again pull our speed back there to 230 knots maximum. From there, we'll head to Gumil. 6,000 will be our target. There's something strange here with this reaction. Oh, QNH. There we go. That's better. Oh wow, that's fantastic. I'm Googling Regency era gowns right now just so I know what you're talking about. Oh wow. Well, that's phenomenal. I'm starting to get nervous. We're not going to get down fast enough. So I think... Expedite Descent. I've never pushed that button before. But let's see what happens. This will be a problem though if we can't get down fast enough. We can extend some speed brakes. Now we're really sinking. That's good. Just hope it's not uncomfortable for the passengers. We're going to pull speed brakes back just until we stop gaining airspeed. And I'm actually going to set our airspeed target now. Oh, but maybe I can't once if we're in expedited descent mode. Oh, I see. There is a managed speed in this mode, so I think it allows for a faster descent. Yeah, I wonder why our descent calculator got it so wrong this time. Usually it's spot on. Yeah, sure. I'd assumed that it was about the Regency gowns, but yeah, what are you writing about? Alright, just going to do our approach checklist real quick. Briefing's confirmed, ACAM status is checked, seatbelts we want to get back on. Power ref is set, minimums are set, engine mode selected as required. Approach checklist complete. And below 10,000 we'll get our landing lights on. We still gotta lose a lot of altitude here. I'm just gonna clear myself down to 3,000 feet at this point. So we're just about at green dot speed here. Wow, that's awesome. Alright, we gotta bleed a lot of altitude here. We're 5 miles from Gumel. And then 10 miles to Viruk. We still have 6,000 feet to go before we get to Viruk. Alright, gotta turn the constraints on. I'll turn the landing system on. We're not going to be able to use it tonight because we don't have ILS for this approach. Oh, we went back to managed speed somehow. Oh, because of Expedite Descent. That's why. That's why. It's kind of a trade-off. You kind of get down faster, but then you build airspeed. So we're definitely out of compliance with the airspeed restrictions right now. But I'll let it go for the moment. Alright, I think we'll be fine now. So let's get that speed back again. Alright, once we get to Viruk, then what? We'll definitely want to start configuring for sure. Kilo Charlie 602 will want to be at 2,200 feet. So get the hundreds here going. I'm going to start configuring early because we can get the flaps out, landing gear out, we'll get enough drag, hopefully kind of keep getting us down a bit faster than we have been. So I'm going to activate the approach phase. Go back to manage speed and speed checked flaps 1. Still a little high, but as we configure, hopefully again we'll bleed more of that altitude off. So after this, we'll be going from Karachi to Mumbai. Roughly 2-hour flight as we continue heading around the world. Speed checked, flaps 2. Flaps 2 confirmed, gear down. Get those lights on. Ground spoilers are armed. Gears confirmed down. Oh, we're still way too high. Come on. Alright, so I'm going to go down to 1600, which will be our final setting. Flaps 3. And flaps full. And visibility is not great, so this is going to be a super... Radio altimeter is alive. This is going to be a super interesting approach. Alright, we'll get to the right altitude, I think, just in the nick of time. But we've got to be ready to start descending at 3 degrees. Once we cross Kilo Charlie 601. So let's make our call. Karachi traffic, Emirates 9084 on 9 mile final, runway 7 right. Speed alt star. Okay, so we're at the right altitude. Good news. I'm gonna bring the speed brakes back, ding the cabin. Land checklist, cabin crew advised, auto throttles, auto brake is required, landing checklist complete. And as we begin this turn, we'll begin our 3 degree descent. FPA 3 degrees. So that should put us right on the glide slope. There are visibility requirements here we just want to be cognizant of. So 2,300 meters. So we still have some time. We want to make sure we have visual on the runway by 2.3 kilometers, which is like a mile and a bit.
1,000.
1,000. Ooh. Still no visual on the runway. But still have time. Alright, we're about 2.5 miles from the edge of the runway.
Minimum.
Continue. We'll take it off autopilot at this point. And level off the descent a bit, because we're a little low. I am worried about this visibility.
300.
Pull it back a bit. Still no visual. I think it's starting to get through there. Oh, we're off center line. Okay. Visual on the runway. I think we'll be able to correct for that. We're high on the glide slope. Get back on center line.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 5.
Full reverse. Decel. $70 knots. Ooh, and we'll roll out a bit more. Wow. That was interesting. That was interesting. I'm very curious what my landing rate was there. I'm always targeting less than 100 feet per minute. Let's see what the data says. Still a little right at the center line. Okay, it's less than 200 feet per minute, so that's definitely acceptable for a relatively soft landing. But I'd like to get a little bit lighter than that, and definitely want to be better established further away from the airport than I was. But yeah, no, we were. It felt like we were right at minimums there. All right. Well, welcome to Karachi. Let's see, I think we're expecting to exit at Foxtrot. I can't quite see what that is. That says it's like Bravo. Slow down to below 10 knots so we can make this turn with the tiller. And once we're clear of the runway, we'll do our after landing checklist. So we'll hold short right about here. Karachi traffic, Emirates 9084, clear of runway 7 right. Alright, let's get that checklist out. Alright, so of course, radar and predictive weather system we can turn off at this point. Engine mode selector normal, flaps retract. TCAS on standby. ATC is required. We'll set that to standby because there's no one to squawk to really. APU, let's get that started. 1, 2, 3. I can turn those landing lights off and set nose lights to taxi. We can turn off the turn-off lights because it's daytime. Anti-ice is not required. Brake temperature check. Brake temperatures look fine. Great. So let's get to our gate and shut this thing down. So just to confirm where we actually are. Oh, even though it said Bravo, I think we are on Foxtrot, at least per this chart. Unless I just read the sign wrong. I find it very hard to see the signs in the sim. Alright, but we'll go to Foxtrot, continue straight to Papa, and our right on Kilo, and then we'll just pick a gate. Let's see. 23. That's a good number. It's my best friend's lucky number, actually. Disarm the ground spoilers. So, okay, this looks like it's Kilo by the memory. This is not a premium airport, I believe, so I don't expect the gates to be labeled. So we'll just do our best guess at what 23 it looks like. It's like the third from the last one. Oh, so long, Constancia. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was good to have you. And good luck with your book. Alright, I'm going to guess this is 23 here, so we'll just turn into this. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That was weird. Yeah, this is a good one. We're going to park right on top of this fuel truck, but... Oop, didn't stop all the way. There's this weird thing when you kind of lose control when you're using the mouse to look around as well. Oh, doing this weird lockout thing again. This is exactly what happened to us in Dubai. It seemed to arbitrarily kind of lock us in. This is gonna, oh, lots of master warnings. We want to get into this parking space. I mean, all the brake systems are off. So I think this pretty much decides it for me. I'm going to go back to the development version on the next sim, because the experimental has been a little too buggy for my liking, which is to be expected. I mean, we can't fault fly-by-wire for that. Like, they warn you it's going to be buggy, even though it has all the latest features. But if this doesn't free up in the next minute or two, I might just have to do shutdown procedures right here. Oh, there we go. There we go. So it seems the fix is just like play with the brakes until it decides it wants to work. Alright, gas truck, sorry buddy. You're in my parking spot. Yeah, the speed you want to be at coming into to a gate like this is about 5 knots. How's that look? Oh, we still got room to go. It's gonna cheat and use this to get us in the rest of the way. That's close enough. Okay. So we are parked. So parking brake is set. APU is on, so we can go ahead and shut those engines down, turn those seatbelt signs off, and let people crowd in the hallway while we get the jetway attached. So let's see if this works. This doesn't always work when I arrive. Ah, but it did this time. Fantastic. And how about power? How about external power? Yes, yes. That's all going to plan, friends. Alright, so yeah, folks can leave now. Get off my plane. Will baggage appear if I ask it to? It will! Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. They're not going to do anything, but now they will. Oh, great. The immersion. The immersion's fantastic. Alright, we're probably blinding people there by the nose lights. We'll turn that off. Beacon off, strobe set to auto, because the engines are off. And, alright, we're at the stand. So, let's go through the parking guidelines here just to make sure parking brakes are on, confirmed, APU. APU is on, APU bleed is on. Engine mode switch set to off, beacons are off, seatbelts are off. Exterior lights is required, fuel pumps off. Boom, 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 boom. ATC on standby, they ready are. I set it to auto, but yeah, now it's standby. There we go. We didn't use the brake fans, that's off. And parking checklist. APU bleed on, engines off, seatbelts off, exterior lights as required, fuel pumps are off, parking brake and shocks as required. And there we go. So since this is our last flight of the day, the first and last flight, we will go through our procedures for securing the aircraft. So, parking brake is on. We'll set our aiders to off. And we'll turn oxygen supply off. Exterior lights can go off now. Maintenance message required. APU bleed, master switch off. Let's just make sure we're on external power while we finish the rest of this. So APU bleed off, APU master switch off. Emergency exit lights and signs are off. And securing the aircraft checklist, aiders off, oxygen off, APU bleed off, emergency exit lights off, signs off, APU and battery. APU is off, battery is not off yet, because there are a few other things I like to do when I clean up the aircraft, just for completeness sake. So starting at the bottom here, we never close the cockpit door because you know what? We trust our passengers on Emirates 984. We'll turn our radios off. Goodbye, Unicom. We'll bring the ECAM lights all the way dimmed. And we'll dim these dash lights all the way. And turn the constraints off, flight directors off. Arc plan, that all looks fine. Shut that down. And finally here, take these lights off. If you think this is excessive, you are absolutely correct. I have no shame. I just like to really get things to cold and dark best I can. Let's shut the iPad off because yes, we care about the iPad battery. And getting up to our overhead panel, just make sure we're good to go. I don't know what else they would actually just leave off. But you know what? Packs off. And overhead lights off. And integrated lights off. And at this point, let's cut the external power. Turn the batteries off. And the APU should run itself off in a second. There it is. Ah ha ha! We are now really cold and dark. And the door is closing on the baggage guy. Let's save his life. Let's call the baggage folk away from the plane because that's just really dangerous. Right. Yeah, that's what we call clipping in the video game world. So the baggage cart guy, is he stuck? Is he stuck? Is he just gonna chill there? That's fine. I'm just wasting time now. This flight's over. But I hope you guys had a fun time. This was actually a really enjoyable flight. We had ATC on the front end. We had a nice cruise. We learned about airships and airship disasters because Karachi was apparently a destination for one of those early airships but never quite made it, unfortunately. And we had a manual approach, non-ILS, like no glide scope, no localizer into IMC, and I'll have to check the replay, but I think we may have even been beyond minimums when we committed to landing. It's very possible the decision should have been to go around. I realized I was tracking distance to the VOR, which is not actually the threshold of the runway. So I do want to take another look at this chart real quick before I finally sign off, just to see if there was any guidance on when that minimum point actually was on the approach. So here's the decision point. Yeah, they have it like, yeah, just over a mile from the runway. But yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know when that decision point is. Is it an altitude? I guess that's what the barrow minimum is for, right? Like if you don't see the runway when you're at minimums, but at the same time, I think we were below the glide slope when we hit minimums. So lots of questions here. If you guys know the answers, please. Oh, here we go. This maybe. Oh, these are your altitude guides. A distance to runway 7 right. But how do we know the distance? I don't see any non-directional beacons. But yeah, if you know the answer, how we could have figured out when, you know, when we were kind of crossing the threshold for these visible minimums here, would love to get your advice so we can do this better the next time. But regardless, hopefully it made for a good video, and we'll see you guys next time when we leave Karachi and head south to Mumbai. Until then, stay safe, sim hard. Oh my god, I'm going to sleep. Good night, everyone. Cheers.